I'm Clint, and we discuss whether or not an artist should ever argue with their art director. This episode is Swatches. Kicking off this episode is a question submitted via YouTube. I was wondering if it's ever okay to argue a little with the art director if you really don't agree with something they ask for, or do you always have to assume they know best? It's an excellent question, and the simple answer would be no and yes. See, to really get the question answered properly, we need to step back and look at the situation and the relationship between the artist and the art director. Last year I was at Spectrum Live, and one of the panels there was collected of art directors, and they were talking about the industry from their side and their working relationship with artists. And one of the things that they affirmed multiple times is that they're on our side, that we're on their side, that we are on the same side. Once you realize that you're on the same team, you don't have to fight against the art director. You want to fight with them towards the same ultimate goal of a better image for the project. So is it okay to argue with them? Well, probably not, because that gives an idea of confrontation. But can you discuss ideas and other ways to do things? Absolutely. In fact, one of the other things that they said at this panel was they like seeing an artist who is so invested in the project that they give extra time and thought to other ways, better ways to do things than was originally imagined. And usually, art director will be open to those ideas. Now let's say a good art director. A good art director will be open to better ideas. I can personally think of several cases in which I came up with an idea that was not exactly what was originally outlined. I submitted the idea to the art director, they liked it, and we went with a new direction. So can it happen? Absolutely. But it doesn't need to be confrontational. You don't need to argue with them. You can just present the idea. If they go with it, great, go with it. As to whether or not the art director always knows best, well, no, of course not. They're human just like you. You don't always know best either. Do remember though, if you submit a better idea for the project and they turn you down, that's it. You don't make a point about it. You don't argue with it. You don't make a confrontation over it. Because the fact is, at the end of the day, they're the one writing the check. They are hiring you. So they make the judgment call, and at that point, it's on their head as to how it comes out. Art directors are having to oversee dozens or hundreds of images, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe there is a consistency issue that you don't know about. They need to make sure that X, Y, or Z has to remain a certain way in all of the images. And no, that doesn't work out very well for your specific image because you'd rather not have it in there. But they know that it needs to be in there for consistency's sake, and they don't want to take the time to have to explain to 100 different artists why something has to be a certain way. They just need to do it that way because that's the way it needs to be done for the entire project and not just your image. So they have their reasons for allowing things or not allowing things. So if they say no, just roll with it. Come on, at the end of the day, they are paying your bills. They get the final say. Don't make a habit of always wanting to change the direction of the project. Yeah, you might come up with a slightly better idea, but you also don't want to get the reputation of somebody who is always going to want to change things. The art director will be a little less likely to send you projects knowing that there's going to be extra work involved and extra time and email and discussion, and they're going to have to send it back to their bosses to make sure that it gets approved by them. The AD wants to know that you are going to be able to work with them and that they will not have to work against you. Hope that answers your questions. And as always, till next time, keep drawing.